Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Tower of God New World. In today's video, I'm going to have a discussion with you guys talking about, what's the plan for the month of November and December for Tower of God New World, because you guys already know collaboration is coming for November and White is coming soon. So a lot of people are having questions as of to, what they should do for their account. Should they save up? Should they summon for Calavan? Should they skip collaboration for White? There are a lot of questions, and my goal here is to pretty much help you guys clear your mind so that you can figure out what you want to do and which units you should focus on for your account. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. So before I talk about collaboration, white, and etc., let's go ahead and talk about elements, because I feel like this is very important. And Calavan's trailer and his element reveal, that actually was a big deal, because that pretty much increased White's overall value, because we are in desperate need of a dark element SSR plus unit. So when we take a look at every single element in a game so far, we take a look at light element, you guys can see that we have Kuna Dawn, we have Yi Ring, we have Kuna Sensio, Prestrak, Yiwa, and that's pretty much it. When it comes to DPS characters, these are pretty much like, the top damage dealing units. Kuna Sensio is more like a sub DPS unit, and he needs a lot of investment. But I'm talking about, DPS characters overall. And I will say Kunadon is definitely like, the top DPS light element unit along with Yi-Ring. So, there are some decent options for, these DPS characters for light element, but I'll say, like, when it comes to SSR characters, Compressed Rack is still pretty good, but Yiwa is no longer, that effective and that strong at a higher deficits. So Light Element has a decent amount of options, but not a lot of DPS characters. And then when we move on to Dark Element, now Dark Element, this is where things start to get serious. So for Dark Element, when we look at SSR characters, we have Vivi. Vivi is pretty much the top DPS SSR purple element character in the game. And I will say Kaseya is more like situational. She's only there to pretty much remove that one annoying DPS unit in the back row, and that's pretty much it. Not in the back row, but the one annoying unit with the lowest defense. That's pretty much Kaseya's use. So Joaquin, we already know Joaquin fell off because of his Revolution base nodes. And Kunmashni. Kunmashni is pretty much the top dark element DPS unit in the game. So when it comes to DPS characters, there is not a lot of options. Not a lot of options. And this pretty much increases White's overall value, because a lot of people are assuming that White is going to be dark element. And if he is dark element, that's going to make him very, very valuable. So it's pretty much dark element. And then when we look at red element, I will say for red element, Evankel is pretty much like the top DPS unit for red element, alongside with Jinsung. Vile, he is receiving a buff, so Vile is definitely going to be strong. I mean, Vile is pretty strong without Belda, but he is going to be a lot stronger when he gets that revolution buff. That's what I'm assuming. And then when it comes to SSR characters, we don't really have good, red element DPS SSR units. I'll say Vicente is more of like a tech unit. He's pretty much there to, obliterate that one annoying DPS character, but sometimes he can't even eliminate them. So Vicente, he's kind of mid. And then Arc Raptor, also kind of mid as well. So when it comes to SSR units, Red Element is also lacking as well. But when it comes to SSR plus characters, we pretty much only have, three solid DPS SSR plus characters, which are Evankel, Jinsung, and Vile. And then when we look at Blue Element, I mean, for Blue Element, I mean, the best DPS character is literally Kaiser. I say Elizabeth is still pretty good. Like, I'm still using her. She is still pretty strong. Meliodas, not that much, but Data Mashing with max dupes, very, very strong SSR plus DPS unit. So I will say Kaiser is definitely carrying Blue Element in terms of damage. And then for Green Element, I mean, Green Element, just look at this madness, bro. We got Trauma Ray, we got Punisher in, Child Yuri. I mean, Green Element is just absolutely stacked right now. And we have Calavan, who is coming soon. And I'm assuming that he is going to be good, because that's what the devs promised. They said that they're going to take special care of Calavan. So I'm assuming that he is going to be good. So green element is just absolutely busted. So when I take a look at every single element we have in a game, I will say when it comes to dark element, it is lacking in variety. Like when you're progressing in adventure mode and you're trying, like, you have to beat that one boss stage that requires 4 teams. When it comes to dark element, you only have 2 options: Vivi or Kun Mashni. Joaquin, not really that strong anymore, and I'm talking about higher deficits. I'm not talking about low deficits. This is for high deficits. You pretty much only have 2 options: Kun Mashni or Vivi. And Kun Mashni, she's pretty much like the best option because she is an SSR plus character, and SSR plus units will always be better than SSR characters because they have more stats because of the revolution. So Dark Element is just lacking in variety, and this is how white, like, this is the best way for them to implement white in dark element, because this can make him a very powerful unit if he ends up being a dark element DPS unit. Like, that's going to be very, very good for purple element. So that's pretty much the whole element situation, and why when it comes to the balance between elements is very important because of adventure mode. You do need multiple team comps in order for you to progress in adventure mode. So it's very important for devs to release units for each element so that they can keep things balanced, and you can pretty much use every unit at their max potential. Now, besides from that, now we go ahead and talk about collaboration. So for next month, you guys already know we are going to have collab characters. And for our first collaboration, we have Seven Knights, and for that collab, they pretty much focused on green element. We had Rachel, and we also had Yeon. If I can actually find it, let me go ahead and just put this to green element instead. There it is, to make this easier. We had this unit right for collab. We also had Yeon, and of course Rachel. So Seven Knights focused on green element, and then for Seven Deadly Sins, they focused on blue element. So you guys can see they focused on they pretty much released Meliodas, Elizabeth, and Escanor. Now, this is not 100% confirmed, but I am theorizing that for the next collab, the next element that they're going to focus on is red element, because if we look at this right here, there's pretty much a pattern here: green element, then blue element, and then after that is red element. So I mean, that's like my only, like, that's the only thing I can use to back up my theory, is like the pattern right here. But other than that, it's like, I feel like red element, if they were to focus on red element for the next collab, that would actually be pretty good, because red element is lacking when it comes to SSR DPS characters. And uh for for the first collab, which was Seven Knights, we did have an SSR plus DPS unit, which was Rachel, and then for Seven Deadly Sins, it was Escanor. So there is a possibility that for the SSR plus unit or collab, there's a possibility that it can be a mage unit or a range DPS character. Who knows? Because they released a lot of support and tank characters these past couple months. Like, they released Princess Anak as SSR. They released Trauma Ray as support. They released Calivan as tank unit, Garam as support, Albelda as support. They dropped a lot of support units, and it wouldn't make sense for them to release more support characters for collaboration. That's just a little bit too much. So I'm assuming that they are going to release a lot of DPS characters for a collab, and I'm pretty sure it is going to be 4 teammates that they're going to introduce for collaboration, because they did have it on their roadmap. It said 4 teammates. I think it's going to be 3 teammates minimum, and maximum is going to be 4. So if it's going to be 4 collab characters, then it's probably going to be 3 SSR units and 1 SSR plus character. That's just me speculating as of to what's going to happen. But if it's 3 characters, then it's going to be 2 SSR characters and 1 SSR plus unit. Now, here is where this can become a problem. So for the Seven Deadly Sin collab month, like for February, so for February 15th, we had, Elizabeth, Escanor, and Meliodas. And then for February 29th, we had Shalil, which was an SSR unit. So for October, I hope they don't do this, but for October, not October, November, my apologies, but for November, I hope that, they release collaboration for November, but they don't release white in November as well, because that's going to be devastating. Like, imagine, we summon for, we pretty much invest in all of these collab units, and then 1 week later or 2 weeks later, boom, white. They release white. And it's like, damn, like we have to not only focus on, building up these collab characters, because let's be honest, when it comes to collab units and gotcha games, they're always meta. Like Escanor until this day is still a meta unit, still a great tank unit. Elizabeth, yeah, sometimes good. I will say Seven Knights definitely fell off, but Seven Deadly Sins is still holding on to the meta. But for these new meta units, like they're definitely going to be meta. There's no way that they're going to make these collab characters trash. So I just hope that they don't release white in November. They give us time to pretty much save up for white on December instead. So what they should do is they should release collab November, and then after collab they can release an SSR character, because we haven't had an SSR character in pretty much a month, because this whole month was just SSR plus units. It was Albelda, we had Chamaray, and then now we're gonna have Calivan. We haven't had an SSR character in a while. So it would be very, very good for them to release an SSR unit in November after collab, or they can do it before collaboration, because we don't know when collab is going to take place. It might take place by the beginning of November or by the end of November. We have no idea. And they did say that they are, making changes to the SSR rates, because the SSR normal banner is completely trash. Like the normal banner is just, it just sucks. When it comes to summoning for SSR units, especially featured SSR units, it's very hard to get them because the rates are just terrible. So they are making changes to that. So I think that's the reason why they haven't released a new SSR character, because they are trying to fix the rates. So, hopefully they do that for the month of November. And then for December, they can release white for December and also release an SSR unit. I feel like that's a great idea, because releasing white in collab, like releasing white in November with collaboration, that's going to be devastating, bro. Because white, I feel like everybody is definitely going to summon for white, because he's a hype unit. Everybody's been hyping up this character for a long time, and if he ends up being dark element, that's going to make him extremely valuable. And for collaboration, there's no way that they're going to make collab units green element and blue element. So if it's going to be red element, they're also going to be valuable as well. So dropping collab with white, that's going to suck. Like that's actually going to suck for free-to-play players. So I feel like the best way for them to execute this is by releasing collaboration for the month of November, beginning of November, and then for December, they can release white by like the end of December, to pretty much give us some time to save up our resources for white. Now, do I know which, like, do I know what the collaboration is going to be on? What the characters are going to be? I have no idea. But a lot of people are theorizing that it's going to be God of High School. This is not 100% confirmed, but there is a possibility that it is going to be God of High School. And I never watched this anime, but it was pretty popular. It was actually pretty good. And I'm pretty sure there is a webtoon for God of High School. I might be wrong here, but there is, I think, a webtoon for this show. So, there is a possibility that it is going to be God of High School. And if that's the case, that's gonna be pretty dope. I was hoping that was gonna be solo leveling, but that's not gonna happen, unfortunately. Maybe Netmarble, maybe they're lying to us. Maybe they're lying and fooling with us and actually releasing solo leveling as collab. Hey, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to cope. I'm just saying it might be solo leveling. I don't know, but they pretty much said, "Nah, fuck you, Faros. We're not gonna do solo leveling." So hey, it might be God of High School, and if that's the case, still dope. That's still fun, and I'm really excited for a collaboration. So that's pretty much what I wanted to mainly talk about, just to help you guys clear your mind and to help you guys decide what you want to do. Now, when it comes to Calivan, now a lot of people are saying that they're going to skip him because he is green element and he's not really a requirement, which is true, because we do have Summer and Dorsey, who is pretty much a cracked tank unit. And I just feel like Calivan being green element, like some people are saying that he is supposed to be green element because of Zahard. No, I don't really know much about the Tower of God lore, so I can't say much about it. But it would have been better if they released another unit before Caliban. Like they would have released another unit that's a different element, because we're honestly not in need of another green element tank unit. We're just not in need because this unit is enough. She's enough. She is perfect. Maybe we're going to need another green element tank unit later on down the line, but for Caliban, it's like after I read his kit, he's very similar to Awaken Rack. Very similar to Awaken Rack because of that passive. Like when you look at Awaken Rack's passive right here, um, you have the durability stacks, very similar to Caliban. The essence of nothingness, very similar to that. And Caliban might need like at least one red star because you want to maximize, his passive to make him pretty tanky. So I don't know. It depends, man. I mean, he's not even in the game yet, so I'm not gonna jump into any conclusions. But I feel like it's fair to say that, since he is green element, I don't think he's gonna be a requirement because green element is just too busted right now. So if you are gonna skip Caliban, um, I would just recommend you to wait for him to come out. Like wait for Caliban to officially come out first, and then you can decide what you want to do. But if you're gonna skip him, I feel like that's not gonna, ruin your account or ruin your progression because Greed Element is just stacked as hell right now. And I feel like it would be better for you to save up for collaboration in white instead, because red element, and I'm assuming that collab is going to be red element characters, and then white is going to be purple element. So I feel like that is way more valuable than another green element tank unit. That's just what I'm assuming. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate it. And share your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. I'll be seeing you guys soon. Peace. Oh yeah, and wait. I am going to do a Caliban release live stream. Just let you guys know. But that's pretty much it. Get the fuck out of here.